Hello and welcome back to Strange Hunkers. Last we left off, the expedition had finally successfully escaped from the sealed tombs, the maximum security prison controlled by the Lycar and Cloudspawn families, fleeing with Dorian, a character from Matthias' past who didn't seem to recognize him, and Yosef Ajurin. In those tombs, Tazriel connected with a strange creature, Yekdor, an amalgamation of a Guadal, a griffin, some kind of fae from eons past, who managed to help most of the party escape by activating a gravity storm in the midst of Skyhawk. They reunite, fleeing from the scene as the sun rises, to interrogate this lawfully imprisoned criminal and to hear his story. We rejoin the members of the Fulcrum Expedition a mere hour from the outskirts of that strange dungeon where they rest between craggly bushes, rock formations, catching their breath, recovering from their wounds, and discussing what to do with the man before them.
Now, if I remember, I seem to think that we were hot on a conflict where Kiara had just thought back, right? And been like, government wouldn't do this. Maybe one person would do this, right?
I believe Kiara did say that this sounds more like a board family member. Like one person then.
Yes, or a single
government.
oligarch.
Yeah. Oh, yes, that's what she said. It sounds like oligarchs, not mass government corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
before we begin,
yeah,
I do have a question. Everyone has just gained the benefits of a short rest. The sun is rising. You had rested late into the other day in order to come and undertake this bringing the prisoner in the evening. So you guys are going to be due for a long rest at some point soon, even though it is day. As you are gathered here, how are you? Are you surrounding Yosef? Have you sort of like left him to his own devices? What have you done with Dorian? What is the staging here for this conversation?
I'd say that both of them are central. I think Matthias at least is like Yosef. We don't have to tie him up, I guess, but he's definitely not going to just be wandering around the edge of the camp that we're making. And then with Dorian, I think that same sitch, maybe a little bit to the side so that he can like lie down somewhere, probably like rolled out of bedroll or something that he can be unconscious on.
And I believe you guys have brought your horse and cart with you, probably stashed it somewhere around here.
We have to go find it. We gotta go find it.
That loves me.
Because I think we put it in like a forested kind of area.
Yeah.
And we're still in the mountains, so we'll probably head back there and then sleep.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, noted. Vice is also partaking in this conversation, but was one of the least hurt out of all of you, so is doing more of a patrol or a few sweeps as the sun is rising, making sure that there are no Lyguard who might get curious. Okay.
I think that at Kiara's revelation of like, oh, this is just an oligarch, probably not the entire government, Awaish will just give a little bit of like a huff and then go silent and like turn down to their book.
I think Taz glares at them for that, but is not continuing the argument.
Do you know anyone in your family who would be particularly interested in killing an entire town for a slight like this?
Do I know anybody in my family who's a dick?
Shall we get into some royal family revelations?
Lore.
Let's get into some family lore. Kiara, I think that you just generally have knowledge, like, very well of your family and having interacted with them. So I'm going to have you give me sort of a retrospective insight check to see as you are thinking back, especially in, like, the time before you left, right? Because you had traveled for a few months, and this is a recent event, if you had noted any kind of discontent in the family.
Alex, quick question. Would, like, Taz know, would Taz think about that question too? Like, would he know about royal family members that do kind of more than the royal family type of fuck shit? You know, like, goes above the level of I'm royal and can do whatever.
Make an insight check with disadvantage simply because you would not have been around as many people as often.
I rolled a 19.
A 19, fantastic. And tell me what Taz's is as well.
18.
Nice.
18 and 19, absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to give, I have my little reference sheet here, but I'm going to give you guys just some insight into the highest ranking members of the Raj, the royal family of the Rays. So the Emperor, the leader, demigod, Bane blessed himself, Sadevi Rajan, is the first of the first house of the Raj. There are multiple lesser houses of the Raj, minor royalty, minor nobility, going down in rank, who are also associated with a group known as the Semi-Precious Court. Some members of the court are royalty themselves, but most are not. Instead, they are those who interact with, engage with, have children with some of the members of the royal family and nobility. In Abjor, multiple sort of like protective groups that serve prostitution. It is a noble practice, especially associated with bane and heat, and often also associated with clerical work, healing, even research, etc. So, that being said, Kiara, your position in Ignis and the Ignited Citadel would have led you to interact with a number of very high-ranking, very royal folks in your family. Specifically, you would also know that the most relevant members of the royal family are currently Wylan Rajan, first son of Sazevi, Lucia Rajan, who is the second child, Bay Rajan, who is married to Yafo Arkael, who you are descended, not directly from, but a few ranks down from, and of course, Nomi Rajan, who all of you have already interacted with. Out of these sort of four main children, there are four main areas. You have military, you have music and culture, you have horticulture, animal, food, growing, etc., and you have strategy, you have history, you have research. So thinking between those sort of main areas, the house and royalty, especially with that higher insight check, seeing if you had picked anything up, any kind of tension, Kiara, you specifically know that there are a lot of concerns about a rising amount of military conflict, both with the desert and the Ungekwan. So the things that Yosef has said about money getting a little bit tighter, products not getting shipped, that makes sense, Taz. That totally strikes true with you as well. You do know that there has been just generally sort of like a tightening of the belts. Cash flow is not quite as strong, a ramping up in military power, a ramping up in recruitment. And alongside those movements within Abjor, there tends to be more marriages. There tends to be more outreach of sending people, sort of like seeking connections, not just with, you know, powerful noble families in the region of Abjor who aren't actually royal, but also to other countries, seeking beneficial unions. So you haven't met a crow, either of you. The name doesn't ring familiar to you. There are hundreds, thousands of people who are just wealthy families, merchant families, etc. But it does make sense to you, just conversations you might have overheard, anxieties that you might have picked up, that if there was some kind of wealth union going on here, talking about how a less well-to-do royal family could connect to a higher well-to-do family, especially with Yosef putting on the appearance of a very wealthy noble, saying he would have been well-connected, that a entrepreneurial woman might have seen this union as a way to secure her position in an upcoming time of turmoil, only to realize that there was no security there.
And just for a little more clarity, so do we think the tightening of purse strings and everything is tied to upcoming preparations for war?
I think that Tazriel might think that. I'll say that is kind of the likely source, but it's up to you if Kiara would be kind of aware of those ideas of like war and military force, or if that's something that she wouldn't think about.
Really not Kiara. This is just me.
Yeah, I'll give you sort of a hearty wink nod, Pooja, in that upcoming military preparations might be tied to some elements of Petra or people wanting Kiara to come back to the Empire.
And I think Petra mentioned that too, is what I was gonna say. Because I think Petra mentioned that Kiara needed to go do her duty and serve the country, and I think she referred to like in a militaristic way. So like I think Kiara definitely has the idea that home wants her to be some sort of like a do her job on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Too. So okay, yeah. That's I was just wondering because love history, love asking that, and so it makes sense to go. What is it called? Isn't there a word for this when wartime is coming? You do
Drafted?
for the financial tightening of strings during wartime. Sure. There is some word. I'm sure chat will figure it out. But basically, preparing for bad things by funneling all your money into necessities militaristically.
Gonna do something interesting here as well. You both passed that check very well. You got really good insights on it. Just kind of like any check related to this going forward in this conversation, Kiara and Tazriel, you have advantage. If you ask me more about something related to the history here, or if you're like learning more about the conversation and you're putting pieces together, I'm going to give you advantage on those.
Kiara will share what she knows about this stuff, which, I mean, I'm sure Taz will have to chime in on what the military implications of things are, but at least Kiara can comment on the marriages and the uptick in seeking security socially in preparation for something. She may not have insight as to what all of that means, but between the two of us and our knowledge, I'm sure everyone else can pick up the whole story.
I think something Taz would add to that is, like, because we're getting into an uptick of doing more in recruitment, it definitely doesn't make sense that the Raj as a government poisoned an entire town that could have been recruits of some sort, that could have been put towards, like, wartime stuff. Like, it doesn't make sense.
I mean, that could be true. It could also be true that it's a convenient lack of mouths to feed where there used to be some.
Was the town where this happened kind of a farming town?
Probably in the farming regions. The most of Abjor is very arable, like super. Again, I like a little bit more kind of just brief history. Abjor has the most farmable land out of any country in this region. So they produce the most food, straight up.
Yeah. So that would be a large amount of farmers and field hands, which would be incredibly necessary, right?
Yosef speaks up and he says, sorry, excuse me. It was about 60 people.
When it comes to actions like this, I mean no disrespect specifically targeted in any direction, but frankly, speaking of oligarchs and actions of this nature, I'm unsurprised and would easily believe each of these each of these theories that we have going on.
Yeah.
I think at the end of it, I believe Yosef. I don't get the idea that you actually committed the crime.
I do believe there was no malice on Yosef's part to actually hurt these people.
Thank you.
I can agree with that.
Yes.
I just don't believe that anyone should have to go back, at least. For that.
Oh, no, definitely not.
I do have one question now. If you said I shouldn't ask questions until you heard this whole story. Who are all of you?
No one particular. Sent by your father.
You've seen my father.
Briefly.
Do you know where he is?
You have your freedom now, but I would look towards getting some extra protections for yourself.
I have nothing.
Many have nothing.
Before we let you go, though, I am curious. Do you have any idea how your intended may have procured such a powerful magic object?
You think Crow sent me the ring? There was no label on the package, it just appeared. It was among many gifts, wedding gifts.
I believe she was at least involved.
Calling
She
the
was so
marriage off
kind.
benefited her.
But she never expressed to me any...
The kindest can sometimes be the cruelest.
I can't
Wait,
believe a
puts
woman
a
I love
very
would do
pointed
that.
Towards Barton at that, but does not say anything.
And I hate to be the one to say this, but that kind of charm is taught and learned where I come from.
I do think you're right. I was raised, taught ways to speak. As I said, it's just hard to believe someone could be so lovely and so genuine. And want this for me.
Well, she did leave you at the altar.
I thought maybe... I don't know, there are a lot of reasons that traveling could be dangerous.
You loved her. I was gonna say, you loved her and were lying to her too.
That seems to stick with him.
Regardless if it was your intended or someone that your intended trusted, with that information that decided it was too much to risk, the facts remain. I would not suggest seeking her out.
I suppose that is good advice. I was hoping to get some kind of missive to her, saying I was out.
I wouldn't.
No.
The fair guarantee to land yourself back.
We might have broken you out, but people still think you did this.
I wouldn't go back.
And if it wasn't her, they could be connected.
I have no idea how to clear my name.
And make a new one.
Interesting advice.
Give me a persuasion check, Barton.
Yee.
1 sec. Oh, that's a 22, baby.
Nice.
You guys and your rolls.
And
Look,
that was
I had
a
the worst
roller,
rolls the other
baby.
day. I had the worst rolls the other day. This is
Make a new one.
plenty of people that sell names, aren't there?
Do you know any?
Kind of looks to Taz. Just because she knows that he's got info. Just, not in this town, but oh, shut up. Not in this town, but check A3. Might be a few people. The I think it was the Blue Sky Inn. Ask for beloved.
Okay. Oh, all right.
I would maybe be using a fake name already by the time you get there, and then say that you
Oh,
want
yeah.
a different fake name.
Yeah.
Yeah, just choose one, and then get paperwork for another.
Fake names are really not that difficult to live with, I promise.
Oh. Well,
Bud nudges her, just like, bet not.
I suppose taking on a unique moniker runs in the family.
Maybe don't go
Maybe-
with one as quite as grand. You could pull off a Stephen.
Don't suggest that.
Stephen's a lovely name.
Steven's a terrible
I'll-
name for an abjuration.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll think about it, I suppose.
Wish, did we have anything after getting him out that we need to do to complete this?
That was my bond.
Alright, well, we're not going to just leave him out here, so...
My father didn't give you any information about a place to meet up or some kind of resources or where I should...
It's my understanding that your father is in significant danger for you in trying to make this happen. So he's probably gone to ground somewhere. And
the just checking, Alex, the father wanted to give the ring to him again, correct?
Yeah.
Oish will tell the truth about this, but is not going to cut corners. They will lift up the ring and
You have it?
say,
How...
"This was supposed to be given to you, but I don't quite think that's a wise choice."
His hand reaches out for it as you say that, and then...
Pulls back. If you own this, you will be found.
And you will not?
I have certain measures of protection in place.
If my father... That was a gift for me.
I hold your death sentence in my hand. Would you like it?
I know what it represents. The death that comes for me could as easily be prevented as drawn out by it.
I promise you it's not.
Or just another, thing to blame you for if you start burning people. Just be connected so easily.
And I'm really sorry, but you lost your temper once and people died. I don't feel comfortable giving you the ring again.
I didn't kill anyone.
regardless of
people
whether or not
died.
it's your fault, this is an extremely powerful artifact. I'm not sure if you know the full extent of what this item means and who it means those things to, but it is safer for you and the people around you that you don't have it. I know it's not necessarily fair.
Getting my freedom, but I never expected it again, is more than fair, I suppose. He still seems frustrated, but...
We are headed to the coast, and if you'd like to accompany us, we can take you that far.
If you know some... my father has certain connections. I know some names to charter passage on waters.
I would be careful. Maybe don't. Now is a good time to lay low, but that doesn't mean that you can't charter passage.
Think of that fake name before you get there.
I'll test some things out.
Auden just kind of leans to Kiara and just sort of goes, "Is there a Raj version of Steven?" I like Steven. It's a good name. It's trusting me.
You can go with Satya.
Satya,
That's nice.
That's pretty.
I do like Satya. Sati. That's a nice ring.
And there you go. First step.
He sits down kind of hard, just like against one of the rocks.
Have we taken our short rest at this point, or is it
I did.
with that
Yeah, me
taken
too.
care of? I think Oish looks over to Matthias and says, "Are we waiting for that one to wake up, or are we progressing?"
I think it's better to get on the road. At least we can get to the horses and find a place to camp among the trees.
Are you going to tell us who that is?
You know who that is.
She pauses for a moment, puts some things together. Why the fuck here?
As for the rest of you, yes, I'm going to tell you, but I figure he should be awake to make his own introductions. Safe to say somebody from my past, who I have no reason to believe has also killed an entire town, so.
That's enough for me.
Yeah.
Maybe we walk and talk, because I want to hear about the other person Daz found that may or may not have reason to be there, and how we got out alive. I have so many questions.
Was that storm you're doing?
Mine?
It's quite a trick.
I thought it might be yours, Mage.
Yeah, I thought it was you, Oish.
That level of
No.
casting is not quite in my repertoire.
Was it the thing you found? The person you found down there?
I imagine we're walking.
We're walking and talking.
Yeah, we're walking.
Yeah, we're walking and talking.
We're Aaron Sorkening. Let's go.
You said
Vice
there was
is
a
staying-
tail?
Wait, 1 sec. Vice is walking close to Yosef. Matthias, are you carrying Dorian?
Oh yeah, Matthias goes over and just swings him over his shoulder.
Yeah, before you begin the next conversation, can I get a group perception check, please?
Oh, hell
Yeah.
Yes, and then Kiara's also going to be guiding Matthias for the carrying, just to make things a little bit easier. On
Thanks.
23.
15.
Excellent.
Did I roll above a 10?
22.
Hell yeah.
So close, Sam.
I rolled a
Perception,
3
you
on the die for
say?
a 6 total.
Is there anything? Is there any? Can I use any other senses for this beyond sight, or is this a sight-based thing?
Can you smell? Are you a werewolf?
No, this is. It's just what you're like to see if people are tracking you or if there's like a
Cool.
something ahead.
That is
Also, Matthias,
a
I rolled a
16, and then I
six,
rip my shirt off and I turn into a werewolf.
Yes.
No.
Finally.
Listen, Dorian's so heavy. He's
Oh
not.
my god, so heavy.
You have to break it out.
I'm so
Alright.
heavy I have to take off your shirt.
Dorian is 1 inch taller than Kiara, who y'all make fun of for being a little teeny tiny. So just putting that out there.
Short king.
I'll have you know
Yeah.
that Alex made Dorian 5'7" and then said short king with a lot of confidence. So
Did I?
you did.
That's so funny considering that the other night I called 5'7" short king and Alex took heavy personal offense. That's so funny. Anyway, what are we doing?
What were those perception
Here.
checks?
Big
Tell me those
plague.
perception checks, please. 15?
22.
15, 22.
23.
23.
16.
6.
Okay. Vice did fantastic. A giant monster. No.
No.
You all begin this trek back. Paying careful attention, there are a few things you do notice. The way that you came in, it was a bit darker. You've left your horses sort of close by. You come upon what you think is the main path that guards use to transport prisoners from Lyport to here. You had crossed it a few times as you were just like finding out where the sealed tombs were, but this is more like a sort of cut through the mountains area. There's some brush that's been scattered on it, so maybe people can pass by quietly. It does look like there are some also some like miniature outposts, not like a building, for example, but just a place where a platform has been constructed out of some like reed or like almost like a bamboo like birch element that might grow in Skyhome, where someone could crouch by some rocks with a bit of shade to pay attention as prisoners are being escorted. So you come by that path. You can keep an eye on it. It does look like as the sun is rising, there might be some travel coming closer. This is like seeing down the road, some dust in the distance is what specifically you all needed to pick up. So you're able to avoid it.
I can convert the channel divinity that I just got into a spell slot, I think.
I think so. Have you done that already? There's a certain number of times that you can do it per day with that.
I cannot remember because this day has been long.
It has been long.
I can't remember.
I'm going to say you're able to do so. I don't care about you.
Can I turn it into a second level? Is that allowed? Is that allowed?
I am not sure. I'll take a look at that while the rest of you can begin your conversation.
Okay.
There's actually probably a long moment where Taz doesn't say anything to these questions, and I think he's like just feeling Yexter's presence in his head, because it's up for, like, it stops working. Alex, tell me if I'm wrong here. I imagine that it stops being able to like actively communicate when I hit a mile, but I know it stays up for however many hours, but I could still feel somebody in the back of my head.
Yes.
If I'm still connected to them.
The distance of this connection, you can continue to communicate after a mile. It is not just you that is making this connection, Tazriel.
Damn, bitch.
Yeah, I think after they ask that question, I'm just
she just
listening.
talks to you for the rest of the campaign.
Only.
How is it out there? Is it nice?
Tazriel, were
What does
you
this guy
interested
look
in
like?
a Fae patron by any chance?
Are you asking Vic if he wants to be a warlock? Because I think you know the answer to that.
Oh,
I do know the answer to that.
Roguelocks,
Vic, it's
my
really great out
beloved.
here.
I will straight up say, Yector could be a patron. Absolutely.
Okay. We
But
can't
anyway.
touch that right now.
Yeah.
Won't you shake a
but yeah, for a little
pulse in
bit,
his
he's just
hand?
kind of like not even talking to her because I think last session you told me I was just feeling like anger and hatred towards the Warren mother. So I think he's just like stewing in whatever she's feeling right now before he says something to everybody. When he recounts like what happened, we were down there was something big in the water, and I went to go take a closer look. She was in a tomb. It's not like I went into a
She.
Yes. She was in a tomb. It's not like I went into a body of water that just had some creature
That is
swimming around
exactly
it.
what he did. Well,
She was in a tomb. It's like when we went up to the other, It's not like he was roaming free.
We did see the tomb before you went in.
Yeah, we saw that.
Is there a reason that this manner of creature is being spoken about in such a way? Strong feelings.
In such a way as what?
Some people seem to be a bit, glances over advice, perturbed at your approach.
He just shrugs.
we were desperate and seeking methods of escape. And
Maybe you could have
Pardon?
found a plug at the bottom of the lake to pull on.
Yes. Barden seemed to have some kind of reaction to the water. So I was surprised to see that real dive in, but if you claim that it was helpful.
Owage's eyes dart quickly over to Barton and then says, what manner of reaction?
Song.
Kiara just holds Barton's hand.
I just... It was probably the panic. It was probably the darkness and the fact that we were trapped and just...
Honesty without choking, please.
Barden raises her eyebrow. You're just like, oh, okay. Doesn't say anything. I saw something coming out of the lake, and the lake wasn't water, it was honey, but I could see it. Like, I can't see in the dark, as you guys have probably guessed, but I could see it. It was golden, and she rose out of it. Where the tomb was.
Did you see this, Kiara?
No.
Honey.
I think, as Barden said, she saw something earlier as well, which I didn't, and I think it was the fear playing with her mind. I just tried to, bring Barden back to get us out.
You're great. Thank you.
You said she as well, Barden. You saw this creature too?
No, I only saw out of the water when my, everything went clear again. But I saw... I saw a statue rise out of the water, and for a second I thought we could climb it, but it actually wasn't there. It was...
And this statue was the creature. Am I understanding this correctly?
No, it was Feverfew. I'm pretty sure. But she was shifting. She had legs, and she looked monstrous.
Well, that does sound like a hallucination.
Or you've been reading too many children's stories.
I've never had those before, though.
But I hate to say it, Barden. You've been going through some changes too. It could be that and your fear manifesting together.
It's not uncommon.
Yeah, it's probably, it's just that.
There are certain kinds of delusions that can occur out in the wastes. The cold plays tricks on your mind.
It's just because it was too tight and too dark, and I'll be fine in the wastes. Honestly, I'll be fine. It's nothing.
Is there something that happened that's indicating to you that it wasn't a hallucination? Because you seem unsure.
It must be. It can't be anything else, can it? Can it?
It wasn't there. I didn't see it. None of us saw it, Barden.
Then that's it. Then that's it. Yeah.
Yes.
Taz is like not looking at Barden like he thinks she's lying or anything, but like the mention of honey is just making him like zone in on watching her because of two honey-colored fucking eyes from the other night. He's not gonna he's not saying anything about it right now, but that's where his head is, and he's just like,
I also have golden eyes, buddy.
Yeah.
Are they honey-colored?
yeah.
Golden honey. Listen, you see, gold eyes.
Honey is associated with whisper, correct, or heat?
I'll take you could do religion.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do religion.
Can I, while they are doing
I'm
that,
good at religion.
pull a quick divine sense? Just pop off a quick
absolutely.
one. I just want to check and make sure that there's nothing like super fucked that's like following. Because in Matthias' head, he's like, well, it could still be real. It could be like magical. He doesn't know that much about magic, but he knows that like mages can fuck with you. So
in general, you don't want another arrow appearing and killing Matthias either.
yeah, we don't want another arrow through the sword.
God.
Mages can fuck with you.
I got a 16.
A 16. Okay. Honey is interestingly yes, associated both with associated both with Whisper and Bone, but it's not really a religious thing. Like, there are certain elements that are directly associated with, like, the Elder Three. Once again, kind of more colloquially, not colloquially, like
Right.
in a pagan sense, like you might say, you know, Mother Nature, and then like a plant, right? That kind of association. But you do know that honey is used in a lot of religious rituals, meaning that it is often sanctified and then like consumed, kind of thing, or able to be imbued with magical and healing properties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I didn't think that Awaish was gonna be like, this is connected to the gods, but I was like, there's probably a good amount that Awaish like understands the significance of seeing a lot of honey and like the weird magic implications of that.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It's more of a, that means that they don't actually see it as too much of a signifier of anything deeper than they already suspect at the moment. So they turn their attention and say,
But that wasn't what was in the lake.
No.
So what was?
And Taz will describe exactly what he saw when he went down there. Like he's like, there's a moment where he's like hesitant to do it, but then he describes it. He describes her.
Yeah. Let's do. Arden didn't see it. I think just Awaish can give me Arcana or History.
Oh.
I have the same stat in both. I'm proficient because I'm a college lad.
Martin is writing down every detail there.
God, I rolled like shit. 17.
Yeah, still guiding Matthias with his carrying of
17. I wish you are not familiar with this creature at all. Once again, you pick up maybe kind of like related to a coatl, or at least that it might be fey in nature if there's like silver, but nothing more than that.
Strange.
And Matthias, Taz, it gives you a pang, a weird pang, like an echo. Like if you're like you sense something celestial, but you're looking through a mirror at it, you're seeing the reflection, the light playing off of a wall, but you're not seeing the creature itself.
Okay, you're fine. You are. Did you step in something? What happened?
While I was down there, I felt this pressure in my head, like something was trying to take over my mind, influence it, and I managed to shake it off. And then I got back up with the others, and we started to climb, but I can't explain it. And it's not that I couldn't resist, but something, she was just calling to me, and I decided to make a connection on my own terms.
So this is why our connection dropped.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And like he's pointedly not looking at me, like he's not ashamed, but he's also like in his head he's like, I technically made a bad tactical choice, even if it turned out okay. And he's just like he's just looking elsewhere. He's not like avoiding a kid in trouble or anything. And I don't know how long she's been down there, but she said she was a sailor that was missing the waves, had the sky stolen from her. Her name's Yektor.
What?
Yektor.
No.
You know it?
She said she had the sky stolen from her?
Yes. You didn't know we could think and talk and reason, and she'd been eating us, diving down and snatching us up, and that's why she was imprisoned. And then when we were climbing, she said tell the sky hello for her, and then we were floating.
Your connection does not pay heed to language, does it not?
No.
So you don't know what language she was speaking.
I would wager for Celestial, given what
she
I'm
wasn't-
seeing right now.
I don't think that's right, because of what she said. Like, nobody, she didn't understand us and we didn't understand her. But even however long ago, there was got to be somebody that spoke Celestial back then. I think there's something more. There's this tinge of of something Celestial there, but I don't think she's speaking Celestial, or that she could speak Celestial. I don't even know if speaking, I can't explain it, but I don't think it's that.
So, Sarun,
Does Taz know what that
Maybe.
sounds like?
No, Susurrun is not a spoken language. It's a group of runes that are used in magical rituals.
But
Allegedly.
he knows that part,
Cicerone is
right?
written. Cicerone is written. It hasn't been spoken.
Ye-
I can write Cicerone. I've never heard it.
Just not
then you
gonna
must
say.
be right.
I've never heard it. Doesn't say it's not there.
I am. I feel like Taz would be suspicious since Oasis said Susurrun when he's talking about what
Oash was about to start speaking about it, got annoyed, and shut the fuck up.
Taz thinks you're hiding something.
All right, mage. What does that mean? Why would you suspect Susurrun?
You said this was an ancient being? Impossibly old?
Yes.
Susurrun is a dead language. That doesn't mean it wasn't ever spoken.
I suppose.
That is what I mean.
Can I ask?
You are still connected to her.
Yektor, does I'm there's a mage with us, and I'm telling them about you.
A mage.
Mm-hmm. And like he sighs and he regrets that he can't add Oasis to this fucking conversation.
Bro, I'm gonna cry.
Can you speak Susurrun? Does that mean anything to you?
Susurrun. And there's more like, again, you're conveying concepts and ideas. It's not quite like the name. And when you say speak, she's thinking, again, of speaking like this. So it takes kind of a minute or two where trying to conceive of like what you're asking. But the root of the word Susurrun gives birth to another colloquial term for it. Whisper tongue. Quite literally, the words of whisper. And if whisper is pure thought. So, I think so. This language is what My kind speak.
Taz's like eyes visibly go wide at this, and he's back in his head, and he looks at a waist. He speaks whisper tongue.
Yes.
Do I know what that is?
Yeah, you've heard Whisper Tongue is, what some people might call Susarin, more in Bajau, but...
Yeah, there's Bajau library workers for sure. Just, Varden looks excited at Taz, just like, she speaks it? She's
That's
speaking it
sad.
to you in your head?
No, I don't. It's not being spoken in my head. That's not. It's just an amalgam.
It's translated?
Well,
I guess. It's more like
if Whisper was
concepts of things.
Oh,
It is like she is pouring water over a funnel, and you're getting drips of it.
Whisper is... I am not a studier of the arcane, but I've had my fair exposure to religious studies, etc. If Whisper is... the folks who I've met who have been involved tend to be interested in dreams and looking into people's minds. I mean, if you speak Susaroon, are there any words involved at all? It's just thought, or dreams.
Why was she trapped?
He ate us. Scores of us, I imagine, because she thought we were cattle. She probably the same way we treat animals. He didn't know we were.
Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Can I roll to see if I make the connection between what I saw in the lake and her being there?
I don't think you
From
need
what I
to
know of Feverfew.
it. It's more like you are one of the few people, Barden, who, along with Siren, have been researching Feverfew like she was real and not like she's a story or a famous made-up hero. So you believe that she was real at some point, and you know of what group she was associated with, the Twilight Cathars. So you do put that together, like monster hunters, elder being. It's more like you might kind of propose it like a theory that people wouldn't believe, but to you, it just makes sense as a truth.
Okay.
No mage in the sky.
No mage in the sky?
There's a particular quirk that any who know Susaroon would understand. It's not a language of specificity. People are not referred to as people. Rather as those with magic and those without. I cannot imagine the transition from a heavily magical world to a less one would have been easy. I am sure there were casualties. Perhaps we met one. Or rather, Tasriel did.
You must have been alone for so long. No one understanding them. That's definitely a prison, isn't it? No one understanding you.
You do not need to be understood to be cared for.
No, that's right.
Quite an interesting discovery, Tasriel.
Sorry, say that again?
They said quite an interesting discovery, Tasriel. They say it almost as if it's like ripping their teeth out to say it.
Maybe don't tell the Raj about it quite yet.
Well, these sealed tombs, Yosef here, or whatever your name is going to be, you come from Abjor. Yes. So, there is the friendship between Skyhome and the Sordox, and the race. There's no reason to suspect they might not already know about this.
No need to remind them, though, is there?
Adam looks kind of like frustrated a little bit at the conversation at hand and just says, not everything is something I have to share with others, with my superiors.
Barton just grins at Taz at that, just like almost like a little like secret smile, just like, yeah.
You all walk for another hour or so. You've traveled about, I'd say, 3 at this point before you come closer to the area where you would stash your horse. More trees. Again, more like kind of palm trees, versions of palm trees down here on the coast. Not as tropical in nature. Thin fronds, not strong wood that you could use for building houses, but it's the area where you left your income.
I could use some sleep.
Yeah, let's
Yes,
chill. You see a way has been like petting the boy, and as they settle down to go to sleep, they like clutch him to their chest. Yeah, pet the spine. He's my little guy.
Yeah.
There's a single paper tentacle that's curled around Oashia's wrist.
Oh.
Cute.
A guy.
Are we back at the inn?
No.
No.
We're back at the, sorry.
We gotta sleep.
Yeah.
The horsies. We're sleeping with the horsey.
I'll take first watch. I think he's the least beat up out of all of you at this point. Maybe.
I will keep it with you.
Barton is going to gently tug at Kiara's hand and be like, is that okay?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Thank you. Just
I definitely need sleep too.
tugs her onto her lap. Like, familiar at this point. Like, they have like a setup. It's fine.
If first watch is covered, I will take last.
Okay. Does Darren need sleep? Weird question.
No.
All right. Even while I trance, I'm gonna have him keep a lookout, not for danger. I'm gonna have him watch the party.
You ask him to watch the party, and he says, kind of grumpily in your head, there are more interesting things to look at.
Saucy.
I never said that there weren't. You know my discomforts.
Fine, I'll make sure they don't bother you at all.
Oh, book
Let me know
bodyguard.
if that one moves.
The sleeping one?
Specific as always.
Kiara will take last with Matt D.
Cool. Alrighty. Resting here. Has perception, please.
Yeah, I'm rolling great. 18.
Nice.
Icene is distracted. The rest of you can settle down. I imagine it is like it's light outside, so you're just like tucking yourself under some trees, trying to get some shut eye as you can. It's not very comfortable, so you're not gonna regain all of your spell slots here, but you'll regain. You can roll hit dice. I'll figure that out when we get to it. But Tazril, there's enough light to see by here. Once again, Vice not paying a lot of attention, mostly just kind of pacing and looks over at Dorian a few times and like snorts a little bit. But you probably are able to point out to her from where you guys are that you see there's just like more movement that is happening some kind of parade or carriage or group that is traveling towards the sealed tombs. Not the exact road or direction, but more like there is more travel happening along the coast at this point. So you guys are pretty sheltered and set away from it, but there are going to be people going by throughout the day as you're sleeping.
I think after conveying that, like, he'd watch for a little bit and watch her more like pacing and throwing looks and not quite doing anything, and said, "Something on your mind?"
I feel I get all antsy after something like that, you know. Monstrosities. I'm not certain that this was a good idea, but I kind of enjoyed it.
I'll never let Oish hear this, but I'm in the same boat. It was a bit of fun. It might not have been the best idea.
Yes. I have to tell you one thing. Desriel. I'm not very fond, as I'm sure you have seen, of the Rays interfering in certain orders of business. But we, the Order, operate with them. We are a neutral group. You are, in many ways, very unlike some Rogelings I have met, and in other ways you are exactly like them. You make assumptions, you take things for granted, you do what you please, and you justify it.
Damn.
However, I do think you got us out of there. And you took an approach that was not... Well, it demonstrated some empathy for strangeness. That is unusual. You cannot have empathy for strangeness in the Frostlands. It wants you to, and it will eat you for it.
He listens and like takes it in and does and like looks like he's taking it in, like he's not just brushing off what she's saying to him. And I think he'll say, I've had more than my fair share of brush with strange. Never in the wild. I've never been, but out here in civilization, as it were, I have learned there's room to have empathy where in other places it would never be something I show. And like his eyes get hard at that, like, and he's specifically thinking like, oh, if I was in the Ngekwan, absolutely not, like, fuck this shit, like very clearly. I appreciate the, truly, with no sarcasm, I appreciate the warning and appreciate your knowledge on somewhere I haven't been.
I appreciate you listening. You do not have to. Alright, I'm going to wake up Matty in a bit. And we'll do a quick little break here so we can use the bathroom, and then we'll see y'all back in 10 minutes.
I'll be back soon.
Bye.